Hi there, I'm Angela Kirby, and I thought I'd talk a little bit this morning about a bit more about my book, Creating Wisdom and Magic in Life and Love. And it's quite it's not just a book about my story. It's it's a little bit about that and my unfolding of leading up to the working as an art therapist, but more importantly, it was the journey that led to that. That in turn, that there was always an inherent looking for health and well-being, or there's a sense of knowing or feeling that life was had a lot more to offer me, or that I'd felt excitement and happiness before, and when I was feeling miserable, I had got hooked into that. So I was always compelled and on the search for betterment or looking for that feeling. And for the first few years or into my teens and in 20s and some of the 30s, I explored that through a lot of alcohol and drugs and the like. There was also an initial wound of being adopted that really jarred into that process of utilising and numbing down the drugs and alcohol because of the depth of sadness that I was feeling. But I was also, to be fair, there was also a lot of fun and frivolity in there, and in the exploration of all of that. I mean, so I don't discount any of that period. I certainly don't recommend any of the alcohol and the drugs and whatever that I took to anybody. But for me, it was an integral part of my learning, and that down the track in working and exploring with clients, I certainly have got the ability now to understand with empathy and compassion some of the clients that I have who have got a lot of issues around addiction, or with relationship breakups, not knowing where they're heading, etc., etc. Now, it's not about foisting my opinion upon anybody, not by any means, but it's more a situation where through the creative process that I've taken myself on over the last 50 odd years now, which is quite extraordinary to say that, that it really helped me to really help other people. So that, sorry, I've lost my thread there, in that it's important to understand that through the creative process, I found my path. I was always on the path, but where I could feel comfortable with myself and unfolding myself, so therefore to be able to facilitate that for other people. And that's also led on to me doing my book, which is an important tool for anybody who's wanting transformation. Along with, we end up with, a lot of books and that sort of thing, and there's other shelves of books and tools that help us along the way. My particular processes is how I've helped myself and a lot of other people. I mean, it's through the learning. They're not all my processes. Of course, I've been taught by a lot of very amazing people, which I'm extremely grateful for. So. But I've gathered all of that information and put it together and brought about my processes that I can explore with you. So the first aspect of this book is about looking towards you as my life as what's happened in my life. Then there are 12 mandalas as to be used as templates, which are like a mandala is a circle. So loosely, you put it's just you draw a circle, and it's like, for these, it's like a container, although you can work outside of that container. But where I'm going with this, just to say that the 12 processes, each one has is a stage of a developmental stage, and you could either breeze across the surface, or you can go quite deep with these. So in helping you to transform your life. So it's up to you how you utilise them. And I would suggest you could do them one a month, one a week, that sort of thing, but just consistently moving forward. You can go from 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, or once you've done that, you can actually go back into going back and doing some more work in number 5, for example, or number 3, depending on what. It's up to you to work out which aspect you'd like to work further with. And quite often the ones that we have the most resistance towards are the ones that we probably need to spend a little bit more time in. Which is interesting. And I would also, like the daily journaling, daily yoga practice, all those spiritual tools that we learn along the way, a healthy diet, all that sort of thing, are integral for moving forward. Now, so sure, we run off the track from time to time, but that is what it is, and it's up to us as an individual to, in self-empowerment, to get ourselves out of our stuck situations, or to even, maybe there's resistance, we don't even realise that that's what's happening. Anyway, you're able to then move forward and gather yourself together and move on. But as I say, it's a step forward, a couple of steps back, 10 steps forward, 1 step back, whatever. As long as you're always looking after yourself, then you're able to pick yourself up and be more self-reliant. It's great to have friends and family. That's integral. We're humans. That's what we're here for, is to integrate ourselves with each other. But it's also good not to be enmeshed with one another and to be in chronically codependent relationships. So anyway, we've got our entire life to work through our stuff. And as I've mentioned, there's many tools that can help us along the way. And this is another one, but it's a tool that you can utilize throughout your life. So there's 12 processes. Then there are 54 mandalas that you can use as an oracle. So you can flick the page open. There isn't a deck of cards with this, but it's as simple as opening the pages once you know where they are, and opening them up to a page. And that's what the mandala that is relevant or pertinent to you for that day, that week, that month, whatever it is, or to the question that you're posing in relation to some of the work that you're doing in the 12 processes. There's also some poetry that I wrote. I found sometimes that over my lifetime, I felt I was fairly deeply compelled to write down some words. They were quite poetic. I can't explain it in that I was going to sit there and do poetry. It was more, it was there laying in bed asleep, woke up and then felt compelled to write. Of course, there was poetry during the day, but there were particularly delicate moments, and they could be deeply impassioned moments of falling in love, or great sense of desperation, or a deep state, a mystical state, and where I felt compelled to write down. I felt poetic. I could say some of it was channeled. I could say, but what does that mean? I'm connecting into spirit, into source, whatever that is. That helps to bring through these words that have a vibration, have a frequency, and you could use those the poetry to ignite your own poetry, poetic moments if you feel compelled. But first you might go, well, I'm not doing that. Like the art, I'm not an artist. This work isn't about being an artist. Although there is some of my work as an artist in there. The work as it's like we can write down words, we can, scribble back and forward. That could be used as the tool of art therapy, or the drawing process, and the writing process. It's a sunny, beautiful day. It could be the beginning of some insightful words. But we've got to get out of our own egoic way, where we're commonplace of criticism and putting yourself down and not shining your light is the everyday situation. And if you were, in mainstream society anyway, so that if you ever said, oh, well, I'm really, did some great words this morning, I think they're very special, and you might think, well, I can't put that down, or I can't say that, share that with someone, because they might think I'm up myself. Well, that's actually about you, your self-esteem. And if you're coming from a sense of deep compassion and love, sure, there's some people who might be repelled by whatever, and because they're at a different level. It's not about good, bad, higher or lower. It's just where they're at and where you're at. And sometimes once we're moving forward, we rub up a bit against our past to keep us pulled back into the past. And that's a big conversation that I won't go into here. There's also some mandalas at the back in the book that you can actually draw in and utilise as a colouring in tool. They're the size of a coaster. They're quite small. That's okay. You know, they're not intimidating in that way, other than because of the size of them. You know, you can probably fill them in rather quickly, or you can take your time. Well, you know, whatever it is to you. They could be a lot bigger. One per page is what I would have liked, you know, for the entire page would have been great to work on. That can be done. But they're also going into that. It helps you to calm down, to centre yourself, to feel yourself getting out of the fast lane of society, of life. So at the end of the day, you know, it's up to ourselves to work on ourselves and to move on through our lives and either stay in pain and suffering or in our victim stories. I think maybe it's time to get off the staying in victim if you're wanting to move forward in your life and to really to be who you are authentically. And that's what this book allows you to do. But it's something that you work on over a period of time. Look, the one night quick fixes and that sort of stuff, overnight sensations, good luck with that sort of thing. And I'm not here to bag anybody because quick minute things are great to a certain extent, but you've got to be in for this for the long haul. You know, you don't stop servicing your car, you don't stop you know, eating good foods and that sort of thing. Well, you know, you might, but you know, you'll probably get sick eventually if you're going to continue eating, you know, foods that aren't healthful, foods that actually aren't food. So anyway, so the tool is there for it's a lifelong journey, and I invite you to utilise it. I will certainly be doing some courses over the time that I'll pop on my website. That I'll have. They might be similar to what I'm offering in the book, but I'll pop some things on YouTube to help you to move through whatever it is that you'd like to be moving through. So they're there, rather than you doing it just on your own. You can actually jump onto YouTube and are able to work through a process or whatever, having me guide you through a process. All right. Okay, onwards and upwards we go, and have a magical day. Ciao, ciao.